There's a strange moment every man faces at least once. That moment when you're not even with her, not calling her, not chasing her, yet for some reason she can't get you out of her head. And the truth no one tells you is this: a woman thinks about you non-stop when your energy hits her harder than your presence. Not your looks, not your money, your energy, your mindset, your calm. And today, I'm going to break down the Stoic move that makes a woman replay your words, your silence, your vibe, even when she's trying not to. But before we start, hear this. Most men push, beg, chase, or overdo it, and that kills the effect instantly. If you get this wrong, she forgets you in days. If you get this right, she remembers you for months. So sit tight. This is the kind of lesson that changes the way women respond to you forever. First, the power of quiet presence. There's something strange about a man who doesn't rush to speak, doesn't try to impress, and doesn't fill the air with noise. People think silence is empty, but a woman feels it in a completely different way. Silence from a confident man isn't silence at all. It's pressure, it's weight, it's presence. And presence, when mixed with calm control, becomes one of the strongest things she remembers about you. Most men talk too much because they're scared of being misunderstood or judged. They think that if they keep talking, they'll avoid looking boring or shy. But the truth is the opposite. When you rush to explain yourself, you look unsure. When you try too hard to be interesting, you look like you don't believe you already are. Women sense this stuff fast. They feel your anxiety before you even say a word. A Stoic man knows something different. He knows that calm is louder than charm. When you sit across from her and speak slowly, when your voice doesn't shake, when you're not racing ahead in your mind trying to plan the perfect reply, she feels something she can't describe. It's like her brain leans toward you. She can't help it. Your quiet presence pulls her in. Think about the men who stay on a woman's mind for months. It's rarely the loud ones. It's rarely the guys who tried too hard. It's the man who didn't push for attention, but somehow kept her attention anyway. The man who spoke less, but said more. The man whose silence felt like confidence, not confusion. Women aren't used to this type of energy. Most guys get nervous around beauty. They overcorrect. They joke too much. They brag. They talk about what they own or who they know. But a calm man doesn't chase approval. He doesn't need her reaction to feel sure about himself. And that's why she ends up reacting more. Quiet presence also makes your words hit harder. If you don't talk non-stop, everything you say suddenly carries more weight. She listens closer. She remembers your tone. She thinks about your reactions long after the moment is gone. You don't have to be mysterious on purpose. Your stillness becomes the mystery. Here's a small example. Imagine you're sitting with her and there's a pause. Most men panic and rush to fill that pause. But if you stay relaxed, maybe take a slow breath, maybe look at her with a soft smile before speaking again, you're showing her you're not uncomfortable. That one small moment sticks in her mind because she's not used to a man who's okay with silence. Your calm presence becomes the anchor in her thoughts. She starts wondering why you're so grounded. She starts comparing you to other men who seem restless or needy, and once a woman starts comparing, you've already won half the battle. Quiet presence isn't about being mute. It's about speaking with your energy before your mouth opens, and that energy is unforgettable. 2. The gift of mystery, without acting. Fake mystery is one of the easiest ways to stick in a woman's mind, yet it's the thing most men mess up first. They think mystery means playing games, acting cold, or pretending they don't care. But that kind of fake distance never works. Women see right through it. Real mystery doesn't come from acting different. It comes from being a man who has layers. A man who doesn't feel the need to spill everything about himself in the first 5 minutes. You've probably met guys who tell their whole life story as soon as they feel a bit of connection. They talk about their job, their family, their past relationships, their dreams, their plans, everything. And while it may feel honest, it also kills curiosity. When everything is known, nothing is exciting. A woman can't think about you non-stop if she already has the full picture in one night. Mystery is born from controlled sharing. You give enough information to build a connection, but not enough to satisfy her completely. It's like watching a movie that shows the ending too early. It leaves no room for imagination. Women enjoy imagination. They enjoy wondering. They enjoy thinking, what else is there to him? That question alone is half of attraction. Let's say she asks you how your day went. Most men explain every detail like they're giving a report. But a man with natural mystery keeps it simple. My day was interesting, but I'll tell you later. It's a long story. That one sentence does more work than 10 minutes of talking, because now she's thinking about it, she's curious, she wants to know the rest. And when a woman wants to know more about you, she starts mentally investing in you. Mystery also comes from emotional discipline. You don't overreact. You don't overshare your insecurities. You don't rush to tell her how much you like her. You move slow, steady, intentional. There's something magnetic about a man who doesn't let his emotions run wild, especially in the early stages. She feels safe, but she also feels curious, and that curiosity is where obsession grows. Another part of mystery is your lifestyle. If every day of your life looks the same, there's nothing for her mind to play with. But if you have hobbies, passions, friends, responsibilities, and a life that doesn't revolve around her, she naturally wonders what you're doing when you're not talking to her, not in a stressed way, but in a fascinated way. The key is simple: share less, live more, not in a dramatic way, not in a "I'm hiding things" way, but in a calm, grounded way where you know your life has value and you don't need to lay it all out on the table. When a woman feels like she hasn't completely figured you out, you become the thought she returns to again and again. Real mystery is not a trick. It's a natural result of being a man with depth, composure, and his own quiet life. 3. Emotional sparks, not emotional dumping. One of the biggest reasons a woman thinks about a man non-stop is because he leaves emotional fingerprints on moments. Not dramatic scenes, not over-the-top moments, just small sparks, tiny shifts in mood, tone, or energy that hit deeper than simple words. Most men either feel too scared to show emotion or show too much. Both extremes push her away, but the middle ground, where your emotions show up in small, controlled waves, creates a lasting impression. Think about the people you remember most in your own life. It's not the ones who talked endlessly or overshared. It's the people who made you feel something. Maybe they made you laugh when you didn't expect it. Maybe they challenged you. Maybe they told you something honest in a moment when you needed to hear it. Emotion is memory, and memory is attachment. Women do not fall for logic. They fall for the way something feels. And a man who knows how to create emotional sparks becomes impossible to forget. It could be something small, like teasing her gently, not in a mean way, but in a way that shows you're paying attention. It could be complimenting her, but not with those boring compliments she has heard 1,000 times. When you say something specific, something real, she carries it with her all day. A man might say, "You look good." But a man who creates sparks says something like, "Your smile looks different today." In a good way, it's like you're hiding something. This hits deeper because it's thoughtful, simple, and not overly dramatic. It feels real, and real creates memory. Another way to create sparks is by being emotionally steady even when she's not. Women sometimes become flustered, excited, nervous, confused. When you stay calm through that, she feels the contrast. Your calm becomes her anchor. She'll think about that moment later, wondering how you stayed so grounded. That's another emotional spark. It's a feeling she can't shake off easily. And the best part, you don't need to do anything big. You just need to be present during small moments, a good laugh, a soft look, a short silence, a question that cuts deeper than usual. These things last longer in her mind than any big gesture ever will, but be careful. Emotional sparks are not emotional dumping. Don't overwhelm her with your whole inner life. Don't bring heavy stories too early. Don't try to trauma bond or unload your struggles, hoping it brings you closer. That kind of emotional pressure pushes her away and makes her pull back. Your goal isn't to shock her or overwhelm her. Your goal is to sprinkle small moments that make her feel awake around you. Because once a woman feels a spark with you, she carries that spark everywhere she goes. And it's in those quiet moments, driving, cooking, lying in bed, when she'll replay your words and feel something in her chest. Those sparks become the glue that keeps you in her mind. 4. Purpose makes her respect you. There's a certain kind of man a woman never forgets, and it's the one who has something going on in his life that's bigger than her, not because she doesn't matter, but because he has a direction, a path, a mission. A woman can't stop thinking about a man who moves like he has somewhere to be. There's a seriousness in him that sticks with her long after the conversation ends. Purpose is attractive because it shows discipline. It shows control. It shows that your life doesn't collapse the moment you meet someone you like. Women can feel this difference fast. If you drop everything for her instantly, she might enjoy the attention for a moment, but deep inside she starts losing respect. Not because she's cruel, but because humans naturally value what feels rare and difficult to replace. A man with purpose is rare. A man with purpose is not easy to replace. You don't need to be successful, rich, famous, or perfect. You just need to be focused on something that matters to you. It could be fitness, career goals, personal improvement, a craft you're learning, anything. When you talk about something you care about, there's a light in your eyes, and that light makes her feel like she's meeting the real you, not the version of you who's trying to impress her. A woman becomes more attracted when she realizes your attention is earned, not freely given to anyone who smiles at you. That's why purpose is powerful. It filters your energy. It naturally makes you selective. You don't run after people who don't respect your time or your goals. And this makes you stand out in a world full of men who drop everything for a woman they barely know. She will also notice the way you treat time. If you have a mission, you don't waste hours waiting for her replies. You don't stalk her social media. You don't break your routine just to fit in one more conversation. You keep moving, you keep working, you keep living. This rhythm creates a quiet pressure. She starts thinking about you because you're not always available. Not in a rude way, but in a natural way that comes from having a bigger life than just dating, and nothing pulls a woman's attention like a man whose effort has to be earned. Another thing happens when you have purpose. You don't react too strongly when something doesn't go your way. If she cancels a plan, you don't beg for a new one. If she takes long to reply, you don't get upset. If she pulls back, you don't chase. You simply go back to your mission. That calm reaction comes from living with intention, not attachment. Women remember the men who stay the same even when things change. Purpose makes you unforgettable because it makes you solid. And solid men are rare. 5. Absence that pulls her. In absence works only when presence has value. Most men disappear hoping it will make a woman miss them, but they forget the most important part. She has to enjoy being around you first. You can't skip that step. But once you've built a little connection, a little spark, a little interest, Absence becomes one of the strongest tools you have, not because you're playing games, not because you're punishing her, but because space gives room for feelings to grow. When you're always there, always replying fast, always giving attention, she doesn't have the time to think about you. She doesn't need to. You're too available. You're too predictable. She knows you're one text away. But the moment you live your life normally, without waiting for her message, something shifts. She starts wondering what you're doing. She checks her phone more often. She slowly starts missing your presence. You don't need to announce your absence. You don't need to say, "I'm busy." You simply let space show up naturally. Maybe you go to the gym. Maybe you spend time with your friends. Maybe you're working on your goals. You don't sit around waiting. You don't rush to reply. You don't force conversations. And that simple shift creates curiosity. Absence hits harder when your energy during presence was calm, steady, and interesting. She remembers how she felt around you, so when you're not there, she feels something missing. This is how attachment forms, not through constant attention, but through selective attention. Here's the mistake many men make. They think ignoring her will make her chase. It won't. Ignoring is childish. Natural absence is adult. The key is not to disappear completely. It's to pull back just enough that she feels a small void. A woman's mind tends to fill empty spaces with thoughts of the person who created the strongest emotional shift recently. If that person was you, you become the one she thinks about. Absence is powerful because it gives her imagination room to move. She starts replaying your expressions, your voice, your little reactions. She starts wondering if you're thinking about her. She starts comparing you to other men. And once a woman begins comparing, she's already attached in some way. Another thing absence does is show your standards. It shows her you won't stick around if she's careless with your time. When you pull back instead of chasing, she realizes you're not desperate. You're not easy. You're a man who values himself. This quiet confidence is what shapes attraction more than anything else. The goal isn't to make her fear losing you. The goal is to show her that your life is full, with or without her. That's when she starts wanting to be part of it. That's when she starts thinking about you non-stop. 6. Make her feel understood. A woman may forget what you said, she may forget what you did, but she never forgets how you made her feel. And the feeling that sticks the longest is simple, being understood, not judged, not rushed, not ignored, understood. Most men don't listen. They hear words but not meaning. They wait for their turn to talk. They jump in with advice she didn't ask for. They change the topic too fast. This makes her feel unseen. But the man who listens with patience, the man who remembers small details, the man who responds with intention, that man becomes unforgettable. Understanding, a woman isn't about agreeing with everything she says. It's about showing her you actually got the point. When she talks about something she cares about, pay attention to the things underneath the words, her tone, her mood, the little emotions she's trying to hide. When you respond to those, she feels like you're speaking to a deeper part of her. For example, if she tells you she had a rough day, most men say something basic like, "That sucks." But a man who understands might say, "You sound tired." Something about it got to you more than usual. That simple line hits her heart differently. It shows attention. It shows care. It shows presence. Another part of understanding is remembering. If she tells you about her favorite drink, you remember it. If she mentions she's nervous about something next week, you remember and ask her later how it went. These small things feel huge to women because most people don't do them. When you remember the little things, she starts thinking about you during her day, wondering why you care enough to notice. You don't need to pretend to be a therapist. You don't need deep psychological tricks. Just slow down when she talks, listen, like the moment matters. This alone puts you ahead of 90% of men she's met. The strongest form of understanding is emotional safety. If she feels like she can talk to you without being judged, she will naturally attach. A woman thinks repeatedly about the man who makes her feel understood, because that feeling opens her heart. And once her heart opens, her mind follows. Understanding also gives her something rare: peace. And peace is addictive. Peace is unforgettable. Peace is the thing she looks for when life gets noisy. You become the person she wants to talk to when something feels off. You become the person she trusts with her thoughts. And trust slowly becomes emotional pull. It becomes connection. It becomes memory. Many men chase looks. Many chase attention. Many chase approval. But the man who makes her feel understood doesn't need to chase anything. She naturally thinks about him more and more, because he touched a deeper part of her, something most people ignore. That alone makes you someone she can't easily forget. 7. The Stoic mindset shift that makes you unforgettable. The final piece of the puzzle isn't a technique or trick, it's a mindset. A way of moving, a way of carrying yourself that women feel the moment they meet you. Stoic energy isn't emotionless. It's controlled emotion. It's calm confidence. It's walking through life with the belief that you can handle whatever comes your way. Women can sense when a man needs approval. They can sense when he fears rejection. They can sense when he's trying too hard to impress. But the man who doesn't need anything from her, not because he's cold, but because he's grounded, creates a different reaction in her. She feels drawn toward him, almost without knowing why. The Stoic mindset is simple. You don't chase what isn't given freely. You don't beg for attention. You don't break your frame just because you feel something. You don't let your emotions make decisions for you. This mindset makes you unforgettable because it shows strength without shouting. It shows confidence without bragging. It shows value without asking for recognition. One of the strongest parts of this mindset is emotional discipline. If she pulls away, you don't panic. If she takes long to reply, you don't break down. If she acts unsure, you don't collapse. You stay steady. This steadiness creates trust, and trust builds attraction. Another part is abundance, not fake abundance, real abundance. You believe, not pretend, that you have worth, options, and direction. You know that losing someone doesn't destroy you, and that quiet confidence shows up in your tone, your walk, your eye contact, your decisions. Women think about the man who doesn't crumble when emotions rise. They think about the man who stays respectful even when he's disappointed. They think about the man who doesn't need drama to feel alive. They think about the man who can enjoy someone but doesn't depend on them. Stoic men speak less, but everything they say feels real. They react less, but every reaction is steady. They share less, but what they share is meaningful. This creates a presence that stays with a woman long after you leave. You become the man she compares every other man to. You become the standard in her mind. You become the energy she remembers whenever she feels off balance. The final truth is simple. You don't make a woman think about you non-stop by chasing her thoughts. You do it by mastering your own. The more calm, grounded, and self-led you are, the more she feels drawn toward you. You become the rare man in a world full of noise, and rare men are never forgotten.